Hello and welcome to the second look here on Back of the Net. My name's Sam Davis.
My name's Tom Jordan.
And this show is all about taking a look back, a second look, a review, a dissection, a post-mortem of the last Cherries game. And that game was a 3-2 defeat against Tottenham Hotspur. Before we get into it, just want to say a big thank you to Sam from the Pear at Parley, who has allowed us to use one of these woodland dining huts. Outside, Tom, it's looking quite grim, a little bit rainy, but there's nowhere better to be. You can have lunch in here, you can have your social in here. There are a couple of pods, and Pear at Parley's a great place to go, isn't it?
Yeah, it's ideal, mate. Yeah, we love it. That's why we come back here so often. And yeah, Sam's great. So nice for him to let us in there because, yeah, a little bit... It's not great outside, is it? It's a little bit... It's starting to get to that winter now, mate, which means World Cup, which is really odd to think. But yeah, no, cheers, Sam. Love it here at the Pear, mate. Always do.
Yeah, absolutely do. Check out the website, thepearatparley.com. So this show, it's going to be jam-packed with your opinions too. And as it's a second look, we'll always give you the opportunity to get involved. And we've got some clips from fans that have been submitted that will play out later during the show. Check the description below because the details never change of how to submit your clip. So on the face of things then, a 3-2 defeat to Spurs. I think most of us expected a defeat. However... the manner of the defeat, and put it into context, we went 2-0 up with only about a third of the game left, and we blew it, but we blew it in the worst style possible.
Yeah, it's a really weird one. I think it's just typical football. And I went into the game thinking if we could show a bit of heart and determination and all that stuff, and we lose the game, we lose the game. It's Tottenham, it's a very difficult game. And then we go 2-0 up, and it just changes everything. And I think I put it on Twitter, it felt like, you know, Christmas come early for us. They gift wrapped a present for us, gave us a 2-goal lead, and then we remembered it's Halloween, and we acted like ghosts, and they just walked for us. That's what I'm gonna go with because, yeah, it was just so frustrating. I've never felt so. This season, it almost feels like weirdly Southampton game, the 9-0 against Liverpool. I felt worse after this because it would have been such a bonus win or even a point, and we had it. And I felt like, as much as Tottenham improved, I felt like a little bit we threw it away.
We did. I forgot it was Halloween, actually, so I'm expecting loads of spooktacular puns throughout the show, I'm sure. And I've sort of tried to put in context the way that I'm sort of feeling. I'm actually okay with it. Okay with it. Obviously, I'm very disappointed with the loss, but I think the word that sums it up for me is frustration, because I know that Spurs are misfiring at the moment, but at the end of the day, they're a Champions League side. Of course. They are absolutely littered with talent. And before the game, like I said previously, we were feeling very nervous about our chances, and not many of us were expecting to get 3 points. But let's not forget, for 60 minutes or so, we absolutely dominated them.
Yes.
And that's such a positive after the criticisms that Gary O'Neill's side have had in previous games where we've been looking toothless, we've been looking shot shy, we haven't been in the final thirds at all. This time we were zippy, we were fast, we were countering well. Kieffer just bullied everyone. We didn't give them space, and this time we also managed to rattle off a number of shots at goal. Not as much as them, but we got into those final positions, which was
and considering
really
the opposition, good. I think we said in the preview, what's Conte known for? And being really hard to get at because, you know, he's very disciplined and organised in the way they approach games from a defensive point of view. So yeah, they made a few little changes, but they still got a lot of quality. But the way we just went for the throat early on was really impressive.
But and then the goal that happened on 57 minutes, it came, I think, against the run of play. I mean, we looked for the first 15 minutes or so during that second half. I thought we got forwards. Jay-Z was in a really advanced position. We were getting to dangerous areas. I thought we could actually score a third here. But the goal that they did score, it came against the run of play. And like you said on the free-for-all, and like you've been saying on Twitter, just a frustration. And there seems to be something inbuilt within the management, within the players, within the coaching staff. Let's hit the panic button. Exactly. And that's what they did. And we invited on pressure, and then changes were made, which changed the way we dealt with them. And yeah, dropping points from a winning position is always frustrating. But despite the frustration, I'm actually feeling very optimistic, because if we can do that against Spurs for 60 minutes, we can do that against lesser sides. And like I say, I know they've not been perfect, but they've got some incredible individuals in their side. So we should be really proud of how we dealt with them.
Yeah, and I think that's what Gary O'Neill's got to do now. I think when I said on the fan cams, my worry is that when you lose a game like that, it could really put you on the floor a little bit, because they could look at the week and they'd go, well, VAR decisions and whatever cost us on Monday, and then we have a 2-goal lead and we've come out of that week with nothing, and it could really demotivate the players in terms of making them really deflated. But from Gary Neal's point of view, he's got to come out and say the kind of things you just have there, that for 60 minutes we were the better team against a team that are third in the league.
Clearly. And Spurs fans are saying that as well on the comments that we've had and on Twitter. Some said that they've been a little bit lucky with that, but I mean, we have to take those compliments.
We've got to, and at the end of the day, no disrespect to any of the teams coming up. Leeds going to be a tough game, then Everton before the World Cup. But if you're 2-0 up against them, and even if you sit off a little bit like we did, which hopefully we wouldn't do quite as much, but they haven't got the quality that Tottenham have got. Yeah, it's a fact. So, if we could play like we did against Tottenham in the next couple, then we've got a real chance, mate. And yeah, we've shown this season a lot that we could be quite compact, quite hard to break down. But now we've shown a few times, in my opinion, obviously the Forest one when we actually, the reverse, where we come back from 2 down, that when we go for teams, we've got quality as well. So there's a lot of positives, mate. And Kieffer, who's seen kind of as a backup option, is kind of showing, no, I need to be in that team. You've got to find a way to get me in. So that's really positive.
That is. So there were some big games this weekend and some huge results for some of the other Premier League sides. If you're a subscriber to the YouTube channel, we certainly hope you are. Make sure you do click that button, but also like the videos as well, because we truly appreciate it. You'll know that we do a semi-regular Premier League show. So that's going to be dropping later this week. And one of the games was our next opponents who managed to turn over Liverpool. And you were probably watching it at home, but you might have been really savvy and been watching it at a Greene King pub. And by using the Greene King season ticket app, you can get lots of bonuses, not least a free drink, whether it's soft drink or alcoholic. And there's plenty of Greene King pubs up and down the country, not least locally, Tom.
There is, mate. I actually started pre-match to our game in the Brunswick.
How was it?
Great. Leicester Man City was on.
Nice.
Great free kick from De Bruyne, by the way, which I'm sure we'll talk about in the Premier League show. But that was nice, popping up there during the game going, you know what, get 10% off before, during and after the game, so happy days.
So, what? 10%? So how do you do that? You download the app, right?
Download the season ticket app, and then it comes up with loads of different offers. But yeah, there's a big one on there that says 10% off, free range of great drinks, great selection of drinks, anything you want really. And that's before, during and after a televised game. So obviously the early kick-off, the Leicester Man City game was on when I was in there.
Wow.
So I managed to benefit off that. And really enjoyed it, mate. And there's a few little instant prize games in there, which I've dabbled into as well. So yeah, loads of great offers, mate.
But there's nothing better than a freebie, though, is there?
I do like a freebie. Got to be honest, yeah.
So how can you get one?
Well, what you do is you go, there's a little code. There's a little code thing. You just put BOTN for back of the net, free drink. It's that easy, mate. That easy. I know you thought I was going to come out with a big script. That's it.
Spurs fans, Leeds fans, if you're watching this content, why not do that? There's a Greene King pub near you. Just type in the code BOTN when you download the app for the first time. Your free welcome drink is there, because I guarantee that there's a Greene King pub in your area. How is it free? I really don't know. But all you need to do is download the Greene King season ticket app. If you can't make it to a game, make it to a Greene King Sports pub. They're your home of pub sport.
It's where the fans go.
So we learned a lot of things after the Spurs game, and we're going to be going through some positives and negatives from it. So Tom, you've been feeling frustrated.
Yes.
You've been feeling disappointed. Are there any words that you can pluck out in terms of the way you've been feeling specifically?
I think during that game as well, I'm not going to do a Halloween pun, don't worry. No. I think during the game, all the corners there, which I'm sure we'll get onto, and obviously it resulted in us losing that 2-goal lead. I wanted to latibulate. I wanted to just hide away in a corner. Didn't want to keep watching all these corners. I wanted to hide in a corner. So that was a nightmare. So that's the word I'm going to use, latibulate.
Latibulate.
Where do you think I got that one from? Just pluck that out of the air, mate. Cheers, Craig.
Not that we're trying to shoehorn these in every week, but yeah, speaking of hiding away in a corner, though, I mean, we'll come on to the stats, and throughout the show we'll be putting some stats on your screen. But wow, the amount of corners that they had. But let's get onto that later, because the first half was all Bournemouth, mate. And we started off, let's take a look at the team formation. This was how they lined up. And from the way that they were listed on Twitter, Tom, we couldn't be sure whether it was going to be 4 at the back or a back 3, but you quickly decided back 3.
Yeah, I felt that, we've said this a few times, he does like Smith inside a little bit. I thought, maybe Frederick's coming in, because Tavernier hasn't really played on that right side. I think he moved there, didn't he, in the when we brought Jay-Z and Anthony on in the West Ham game, and that obviously saw enough in that to think we could go with that. Didn't expect Kieffer. It was interesting, when I got the preview, I obviously predicted the team, and I went, I think Kieffer Moore will start, and you went, I think Solanke will start.
Did I?
So they both did.
Oh, all right, yeah.
But yeah, that was promising. Obviously, in hindsight, it's easy to say that works, because Kieffer Moore, how good he was. But yeah, I liked it. I liked the fact that I think sometimes when you go for 2 up top, you can get a little bit overstretched in the middle of the park, but what he did is he kept Billing in there, which made us have the 3. And the wing-backs, with Jay-Z and Tavernier, you've got energy, because they're going to have to do a lot of work, because they've got no one in front of them, so to speak. So, yeah, I was quite pleased with it, to be honest with you. I think everyone wanted Jay-Z in. I think a lot of people thought maybe Anthony, but I think the way it was set up, I was quite happy with it.
So we got to Dean Court, and as a man who likes Jefferson Lerma and singing his song, mate, you must have been delighted to hear the walkout song that replaced Kanye Power, as we mentioned in the preview. What was it?
White Stripes, Seven Nation Army, yeah.
How do you feel about that?
It's got 0% record, so no, it was. I couldn't really work it out at the start. I completely forgot about obviously the thing with the Kanye song going, and then I thought we were just singing Jefferson Lerma chant, because that's what ended up happening. But it's an alright song. It's pretty standard. It'd be interesting to see if that is one that we go, well, that's what we've picked, or we maybe mix it up a few times and see what the reception gets.
I think it should be like what Have I Got News For You did after Angus Dayton was sacked, and just have a different guest song every week, maybe.
Yeah, we could, even for a little bit, just kind of see what works. Yeah, see what works, see what gets the atmosphere going. But I was quite pleased early on. I think it was with our start as well that the atmosphere was a lot better than it has been of late.
It has been, and it always helps though when the team help to generate that atmosphere by putting in a real shift and getting into attacking positions. And we did that early doors. We had a corner that was floated over. I know, so all our corners, one of 2 things happen. It's either short and it's played back to someone on the apex of the penalty area that usually swings it into the far post, and then the header will come back in, or it'll be floated to the far post for someone to get on the end of either they'll knock it back across goal, or, as in Kieffer Moore's case, rose at the far post and just brushed the top of the net. But that was a real positive start for us.
Yeah, and that was early signs of things to come, wasn't it, with Kieffer Moore being a real handful for them, and we utilised that well as the game went on. But yeah, I think set pieces were what's going to be a big talking point in this game, mate. And the decent routines we're having. When you've got Kieffer Moore in there, you've definitely got to get that ball into the box a little bit. And as I say, with the atmosphere, I think the fact that you have that early chance, you've had an early corner, you're going for the throat early doors, you're playing on the front foot. That is going to, it's give and take, isn't it? And I thought it was nice to see. I felt that we were getting behind the boys in the stands as well. It was better than it has been.
And also Tavernier, I thought, was doing really well. Early doors, he marauded forward on that right-hand flank, and he eventually cut in on his left foot, and it was a fairly tame shot, fairly easy for Lloris to gather. But I tell you what, that's so much better to see us driving up the pitch like that. And
definitely.
That certainly inspired the fans on. And I thought, the atmosphere was a lot better, so much so that could barely hear the Spurs fans. I mean, I was actually right next to the Spurs fans, and even though the North Stand, I could hear them, heard nothing from the Spurs fans whatsoever. So we managed to shut them up. But then, as the game wore on, we always knew that they were going to start to find little pockets of space and get on the ball more. And they were starting to get on the ball. Harry Kane was instrumental with that. He was dropping deeper to pick up the ball and start moves for them. But, alas, they can have the ball as much as they want, because Tavernier was at it again. The goal that was scored on 20 minutes, I thought the move was really good. It started on the right flank. The ball came up to Solanke.
Yes.
Demonstrating his hold-up play yet again. Held onto the ball, managed to spin his marker and play the on-rushing Tavernier in. And he's been questioned a few times over his decision-making in the final third, but this time it was perfect. And he put Kieffer Moore in on goal, on a play, and that finish, it wasn't easy. I know it's a side-footed finish. It could have been easy to get wrong, but it was such a good finish.
And the fact he took it first time as well, I think he had a lot of space. It would have been easy for him to take a touch and let Lloris come out. It was a really clever finish. I think you said it when we were chatting yesterday. It was the way he finished it was a bit like that Forest one from the free kick, wasn't it? Really nice finish into the corner. But yeah, Tavernier, really good decision maker at that point, which he's been questioned over. Is that his first assist? I feel like it might be.
Yeah, it could well be.
But yeah, that was really good. And I think that goes back to that 2 up top, because Dom's dropping deep like he always does, doing what Harry Kane tries to do a lot. Yeah. playing the ball at the Tavernier. And most of the time, once Dom does that, there's no one in the box. Because it will just be Tavernier running down, waiting for Dom to get back in there, wouldn't it? But because you've got 2 up, it means that Kieffer Moore's in a good position. And yeah, great, absolutely superb finish. And he's a bloody good finisher, isn't he?
Now, would
really
he have
good.
got that ball had the Spurs defender not slipped? Because he just slipped up on the edge of the penalty box, but I think it was probably going to reach him anyway.
I think he probably would have got it. I mean, it helped him, of course, and you never know. But yeah, he did have a little slip in there. But yeah, great movement from Kieffer. Well picked out from Tav, and a lovely finish, mate. Great way to start the game.
Yeah, Kieffer's very confident in front of goal in those positions, whereas others I feel might take a touch, and I mean certainly someone like Ryan Christie would.
I even think Dom probably
really
takes
good.
a touch there. I mean, he still might finish it, but I think most people take a touch there. So it was a real clever finish, and yeah, we've seen it a few times now, haven't we? I always remember the last game of the season was at Millwall, where he come off the bench, just he had so much time to think about it, just smashed it into the really good finish. He can score with his head, he can just place it into the corner, and he can smash one in as well. So really good signs.
So in terms of the midfield, it seemed to be Lerma seemed to be slightly deeper, like almost like the holding midfielder role, and Cook and Billing were sort of given licence to go forward every now and then by the looks of it.
It looked like Billing was kind of a little bit more off that left channel to a degree, left central, and Lewis Cook was right. Because there's a few times early on in the game where Lewis Cook was getting the ball quite wide on the right and kind of trying to play them balls in the channels for Tavernier. And I think that's when you've got wing backs, they're quite isolated out there, so you need your midfield players. And I think it was Lewis Cook was going over, you help out Tavernier when needs be, and Billing doing the same with Lerma, with Zamora, with Lerma sat in there. So yeah, well, mate.
Spurs had isolated chances. Ollie Skip had a shot that Trevor saved. I think it was probably going into side netting or post and wide anyway. But then there was that cross from Son, who I wasn't sure who it was at the time. Turned out to be Senesi, who just got a touch and put it onto the post. Without that touch, it might have been floating in. It's one of those that tempts the goalkeeper. But then he's always wary, if it gets a touch, then I'm going to be screwed here. But Senesi managed to get a touch. And
vital touch.
We managed to get it out wide. And apart from that, I think we saw out the half fairly comfortably. But in that first half, Kieffer Moore, his hold-up play was absolutely superb. Dom was working his socks off. There wasn't a weak player on the side, I thought.
Yeah, no, I thought everyone was doing their job so well. I think Dom always looks so like happy that he's got someone up there with him. Because it's 3 centre half, so he's not having to do it against 3 of them. He's got Kieffer to kind of nullify him a little bit, and he can get a little bit more space. I thought the wing backs were brilliant in that first half, working really well. But yeah, I knew at half time. I think I was talking to Mark Jackson at half time, and I said they will definitely bring on Lucas Moura now. They will go to that 3 up front for sure, and they'll take off one of them 3 midfielders. It ended up being skipped, didn't it? Could have quite easily been Basuma. I didn't think was having a great game, who come off later. But yeah, I did think they'd do that, so I knew that would maybe stop Jay-Z getting full quite as much, because Lucas Moura's got a bit of pace. He'd have to be wary of that. But yeah, I was in really positive spirits. I probably at half time would have thought we're in a good position to maybe get a point now. But then we started the second half as we did.
Yeah, we did. So with Moura coming on, that was always going to be another threat. But only 3 minutes later, wow. Kieffer Moore was at it again. And it was a funny little move, actually. It was on, because I was vlogging this. It was on the right-hand side, and then Lewis Cook played a ball. I think he was trying to find Adam Smith, but Adam Smith didn't make the run forward. And I thought the ball was going out of play, but Dom Salampin slowed up, and then Dom managed to pick it up and then lay it back to Adam Smith, who curled in a wicked cross. Now, when you see the moment that Adam Smith crosses it in, like, Kieffer Moore's nowhere near. You would think he's not going to be winning that. If you know where the ball's going to end up, you think Kieffer Moore. That is one of the best headed goals I've seen at Dean Court for a long, long time. Honestly, it helps that it went crossbar and in. One of my there's been a few favourites of mine. One of which was David Brooks against Brighton, that kind of pirouetted header. I loved that. That was a beautiful goal.
It was,
and it showed bravery. It showed courage, and what a player, mate! He causes so much nuisance.
He does, and it reminds me a little bit of when we're putting them balls in the box, because of late, well, really this season, especially when Kieffer's not on the pitch. You put in balls in the box and you're not really expecting of anything. It reminds me of when we had Jan Kermigan in the Championship, and you think of the ball and you think he could do anything. He could easily get on the end of this. And as soon as the ball came in, I felt like this could be a goal, because Kieffer. And honestly, the goal in the first half, which we spoke about, with the way Dom drops off like Harry Kane does, and then Moore takes it so well after a Tavernier cross, and then that ball from Smith and the header. They're both stunning goals, by the way.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't think it's been talked about enough. They're brilliant goals. Unbelievable header from Kieffer. It's fantastic. Like you say, it always looks better when it comes off the bar and in as well. But yeah, beautiful header, mate. And I also think, when sometimes you can get a little bit over the top with kind of statistics. So Dom Solanke in the stats is not involved in either goal. He's the assist of the assist in both goals.
Yeah.
He is instrumental in both them goals. He's the one that keeps the ball in play, lays it back to Smith, who gets the assist. He's the one that plays a brilliant ball into Tavernier, who gets the assist. So sometimes I think this is where, stats kind of... Dom Solanke was massive in both goals. So I think that's worth pointing out. But lovely header, mate. Right behind that. And, I couldn't believe it. And then I suddenly thought, oh, my God, we're going to win this game. Unbelievable. And they couldn't cope with him. And it's whatever, we all know what happened at the end of the game. But tell you what you forget sometimes until he plays, what a handful we've got in Kieffer Moore.
Yeah.
And that's... having Kieffer Moore and Dom Solanke when you're going to be in a relegation scrap is massive.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I thought Conte might be sort of making some changes almost straight away after that, but he didn't. He took a while to figure out what he was going to do, and they were lining up a triple substitution by the looks of it.
I think Sessegnon was coming off.
He was coming off. He was one of them. But then, I would say against the run of play on 57, it was Højbjerg that picked up the ball
Good pass.
in a little pocket of space, and it was a goal that was against the run of play, and it just came out of nowhere, really. I mean, Tavernier was probably caught a little bit flat-footed, and Sessegnon, who was to his left, managed to sneak in and just get that shot away from the angle. And at 2-1, it then becomes a double change, doesn't it? I think Dyer came on and Bentancur replacing Basuma and Sanchez.
Yes.
And it's fair to say it was pretty much downhill from that moment.
Yeah, it was as you say, the goal felt like it come out of nowhere, really, because we were in control from the goal. But it's one of them. I think Tavernier had such a good game. We spoke about his assist for the first goal, and that's where sometimes you watch that first kind of 50-odd minutes and go, why has Tavernier never played right wing-back before? I mean, he's unbelievable there. And then one pass and the opposing wing-back is in straight away, one pass. Tavernier will be disappointed with that. Mepham nearly got across and saved him. But yeah, that's where sometimes you have a player there that it's not his natural position. He's playing really well. But sometimes just that not natural... to be a wing back, he just got caught the wrong side, did he? And Sessegnon took it well, to be fair to him. But yeah, as you say, they made two subs that ended up massively influencing the game, and we made one that probably didn't help.
And at this point, I was starting to notice the amount of corners that they were getting. I mean, I noticed it in the first half, but then in the second half, I mean, we've got the stats showing on screen now, and oh my goodness, check out the amount of corners in the bottom right hand side there. 19 corners to their 2. It felt like Son possibly took them all, and I've got to say, his delivery is exceptional.
It's exceptional. He took them all until the subs, and then Perisic come on and actually got an assist, didn't he? So it shows I think Gary Neal mentioned it, and it does show the quality they can bring on. You're getting tough balls in the box all game, and then they go, we've got Perisic as well, by the way. So that was difficult. But yeah, it's one of them. You got to clear your lines, but I think we've said a lot that how compact and solid we've been, hard to break down from open play under Gary Neal. We've conceded a lot of corners. I think Koyate at Forest, Diop at Fulham, and Zuma shouldn't have counted. At West Ham, we struggled from corners. So when you're giving a team of the quality of Tottenham 19, you're probably going to come unstuck, way down the line, and that's what ended up happening. But yeah, it was all from that goal from Sessegnon. Their changes, our changes,
and it was a concoction of all of it that made AFC Bournemouth the weaker for it. So Philip Billing made way, and Jadon Anthony come on. Shape-wise, what happened?
For whatever reason, we felt that we needed to change the shape. The thing is, was I disgusted that Billing came off? Not really. He wasn't having a bad game, but you could have brought on a Rothwell for a like-for-like. You could have brought on a Pearson and just made it a little bit more secure in that middle. But bringing on Anthony, not his fault, but it meant you suddenly, we're bringing on a winger. We ain't playing with wingers. Yeah. So he put him on his normal side on the left wing, and then we decided Dom Solanke would go to the right wing. Didn't get that at all. And we were playing the game where obviously they're trying to play out from the back a little bit, but they've got Kieffer Moore, Dom Solanke and Billing from central areas stopping them playing. And then we've suddenly gone, right, Kieffer, you've got to do it on your own now, who's dead on his feet, so to speak, and Dom Solanke's now moved wide, Billing's come off. So now their back three, who have had no room to breathe, have suddenly can just wander up the pitch and just take as much time as they want. We as you said right at the start of the show, mate, we hit the panic button as soon as Sessegnon scored, and I didn't get that. I think I said on the fan cams, we played like it was the 85th minute when it was the 60th.
Can Gary O'Neill never do right for doing wrong, though? Because there have been previous games, Saints, I think, he made changes like brought on Dembele. We were thinking, why don't we bring on Anthony? He brought on Rothwell, that now plays the same. Perhaps we should have brought on him in this game just to hold on to the ball a little bit more and drive forward with it. is in hindsight, it's very easy to criticise, isn't it?
Of course, that's all we can do. I think in both games there's weird parallels in terms of the Southampton game. It felt like there wasn't really much idea. It was just put on the most attacking players. And this game, there was no real idea. It was just make sure there's more defensive players as we come on to. I'm not saying Jane Anthony's a defensive player, but it allowed us to make the system more defensive. And then you're virtually playing like Tavernier, for example, at right back, which, he was struggling enough at wing back. So yeah, it was a weird one. Obviously, like you say, if they don't put the ball in the net, we don't talk about the changes. But unfortunately for Gary O'Neill, we ended up throwing away a 2-goal lead. So they're gonna be highlighted a little bit, and it just smacked of desperation and panic when I don't think it needed to. They got in once and they scored, but we didn't need to go mad and change everything. So yeah, it was disappointing.
And one of the goals that was scored was from a set piece. It was from a corner where I think Mark Travers was pretty much guilty of trying to punch out a ball that he eventually got nowhere near, and it was a simple header at the far post for Ben Davies, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely gutted for him, mate, because I worried about this. He's rarely, last season, how bloody good was he? He's rarely ever let us down, and then he comes out for a bit, and it's easy for us all to go, yeah, Neto's been good, but we know we've got Travers, but going, yeah, but now he's suddenly feeling a bit like, oh my God, I've got to take a chance, Which is a bit odd, because Neto's he's not going to play Cameron playing. Travers doesn't need to, there's no pressure on you. It's not like he's just come back in and Neto's been dropped. You'll be playing till the World Cup now. But he just, for whatever reason, saw the flight of the ball and felt he could get it. But as soon as he comes, he just has to. If he stays in his goal, I think Davies just heads it straight to him. So, yeah, unfortunately for Travs, it was a mistake. It was a glaringly obvious error from our goalkeeper, which was a real shame. But, yeah, it is what it is, mate. I think when you give away that many corners, probably one's going to hurt you at some point. But it looks worse the more I see it. He comes out, he's nowhere near it.
No one was even in his way to impede him. And what the thing is, though, right? He doesn't even get his arms out. He
doesn't even go to punch it.
He doesn't. He doesn't even go to punch it. So he tries to get into position, and for some reason, he just doesn't. And I'm not really sure why that is. He's sort of half looking at the players in front of him, and then half looking at the ball, and then eventually, he flaps.
He comes, and then I think quite quickly he realises he ain't going to get it, so just puts his arms in the air to try and block anything he can. Real shame for him, but he made some decent reaction saves, I felt, during the game. I don't think any were spectacular.
Yeah, he did from Son as well. Yeah. He had a shot at the near post that he saved really well.
Yeah, there was one in the first half, you said, that could have hit side net. So they weren't world-class saves, but they were saves that needed to be made, and he showed his reactions well, and the crowd were getting behind him. It was a real shame that because I felt that he was back in the last season, start of this season, he was getting better at that from set pieces, and it was just one of them moments. And he probably just got a little bit carried away and felt, I'm going to come and deal with this, which is nice to see. I don't like goalies that are always planted to their line, but it just didn't happen for him. Really gutted for him, to be honest with you.
Well, if Spurs had the bit between their teeth at that point, then moments later we took off Tavernier and put on Fredericks, who, similar roles. However, Fredericks is more defensively minded. He gets forward.
I kind of got that change.
Often. Yeah,
I kind of got that change because the way we were playing, once he made them changes, which I didn't agree with in terms of the system, as I briefly alluded to, then Tavernier's at right back, which he's probably never played. Fredericks has played that quite naturally. So yeah, I kind of got that one. If we were going to stay with that, that one made sense. The one after that, probably not.
By the way, what happened? Because I was sworn there was a bit of a melee that happened. I thought that Adam Smith got booked, and then immediately I was thinking, oh God, he's missed the next one. But it turned out not to be.
It was Harry Kane, I think it was, that got booked. Weird one. It was it was a bit of confusion. It looked like, and I think Kane and because obviously Kane, I know he's not, I think Lloris is actually the captain, but Kane always feels like the leader on the pitch, and obviously Smithy's our captain, so I think they were both talking to the ref.
Was that before the goal or after the equaliser?
Just before.
Okay.
And you just saw a yellow card, and we felt like it was actually something Harry Kane said, apparently.
Okay.
So that was a relief for us, because he's just got to get through a couple more, Smithy, and then it resets, because he's been hanging over him them 4 yellows. But that was a relief, because I thought, don't want to jump the gun too much, but I thought Smithy was absolutely superb, by the way. I thought there were so many times in that game, probably before the moments we're going to now, but where they were chucking balls in, and he was covering the centre off so well. I think he made a really good header at one point at the back stick, and he was just coming in, sweeping up really well, and I think he's really starting to show that experience. And I've probably said it before, but he really goes under the radar. Like he's never like in the nominees for like Player of the Month things. I think he's been exceptional this season. I really do, and taking that armband on as well since Kenny's been out, I think he's been brilliant.
Then towards the end, 89 minutes, you're on like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire now, that you can set your own safety net. That's what we seem to do by taking off Dom and putting on Jack Stevens, but it didn't pay off. We answered the question wrong and went home with nothing. As moments later, it was Bentancur that it was a corner that came in. I think he got the initial header, was it?
Yeah, and then it kind of ricocheted back to him.
And then he just side-footed it in, just placed it in.
Really good finish, actually.
But it was on the cards. It was inevitable. It was always going to... I think I said that on the vlog as well. It was always going to happen.
It felt that way, didn't it? It felt like it was coming. And it's one of them, when you see... Nothing against him, but when you see Jack Stevens coming on for Dom Solanke, you think, yeah, we know what's going to happen here a little bit. And the amount of bodies we have in that box... probably a little bit unfortunate it falls straight to Bentancur, but yeah, we got to deal with it better. Yeah, I think the weird thing was, I thought he had a brilliant game, by the way, but Marco Senesi, I think the lead up to that corner, which was the winner, his header, like he went to clear it, it just kind of went off 50p head and went the other way. I mean, at the time, when obviously, as we keep mentioning with hindsight, at the time I'm there going, yeah, just get rid of it, I don't care where it goes. But yeah, obviously resulted in a corner where they were causing us problems, and they got another one from that. Really disappointing, mate, but... yeah, it was. I think Bentancur, from their point of view, you don't want to be too harsh on our lads. Yeah, there was a few ricochets, but I mean, he has side-footed that in brilliantly, and he's a quality footballer. And as I said earlier, Gary O'Neill said it: the changes they can make. Bentancur comes on, scores the winner. Perisic comes on, assists a goal. I thought Eric Dyer, when he come on, just gave him that leadership and just went, right, I'm going to take the ball up the pitch. And yeah, the options they had from the bench, because I thought some of the ones that started, I thought Basuma was pretty average. I thought Emerson Royale was hopeless. Davison Sanchez wasn't very good.
By the way, so the Arsenal fans sang Saliba.
Yes.
The Spurs fans sang Basuma. Is it right that in the North Stand someone tried to do that chant for
Senesi?
It doesn't even go.
I mean, we got Zamora there as well.
Yes, Zamora.
Yeah, I think we tried to go.
Senesi.
Yeah, we tried a little bit, to be fair. We didn't really get too involved with that one. But
good.
I think it was actually originally a Brighton Basuma. So Tottenham have carried that on. It's a nice little chant in it. But yeah, I did think he had a great game, actually. But yeah, I think they've got a nice little chant for Bentancur as well, which they then started singing and found their voices a little bit. But I was gutted for the lads, mate. I really was. But it also felt like we had that.
Yeah,
we had that.
We've got the average position shown on screen. Can you take anything from that, mate? These were the substitution. These were the before the substitutions. I mean, very deep, and then we brought some substitutions which provided a little bit more width. But can you take anything from that?
I think opposed to different games, we definitely had a bit more width in this game in general because of the wing backs. I think they're in kind of the positions I would expect them to be in. Jaden comes on and really tries to play quite high on the counter attack. But yeah, it's probably got a little bit. They're a lot more narrow and then kind of
and more advanced as well.
A lot of course, but I expect all that. It was there wasn't. I felt that even when the subs were made, all the lads played their roles that I felt they were told to and felt they should have really. It was just the fact that we just invited them on so much when. A lot of teams, maybe we haven't got the quality of other teams, but when you're leading 2-1 like we are, you try and keep the ball, and I think you've got people like Ben Pearce on the bench who's quite good at that, and you kind of just keep the ball and make it difficult for them. What we decided to do was let them have the ball and just go deeper and deeper and deeper and hope that we can hang on, really. And I felt that if we did that, because it was the 85th minute, I would get it. We done it on 57. Too much time for a quality of Tottenham. They were always going to break us down.
And you can see the heat maps there as well. I mean, look, they were all over the pitch, but we were pretty much camped in our half. But that, that doesn't really tell the story of the first half, I don't think, because I think that we played on the counter and we did it to very, very good effect. And we're going to be playing teams that are hopefully as equally susceptible as what Spurs are. That will remain to be seen. It's not all doom and gloom, though. There's a new manager bounce that we'll hopefully get when the new manager comes in. The new owner bounce when that's officially announced as well.
We had the new owner in the stadium bounce, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. And also we've got this kind of... He's like a weapon, Kieffer Moore, that we can bring on. I mean, there have been some games where he hasn't been effective, but then when he's played to his strengths alongside Dom Solanke as well...
I think that's the key.
Dom Solanke's the focus, but when you've got Kieffer Moore on, that just, that doubles their problems defensively, and they must be thinking, right, what do we do here?
Yeah.
Causes all sorts of havoc.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And you can almost play, like when you play the way we did, you can almost have... Kieffer Moore's the focal point, and Dom and Billin are almost the ones just pick up scraps in and around them, hard to pick up. It's really good. And the fact that, we said about Tavernier, how many positions he can occupy now, there's definitely a lot of flexibility and fluidity we've got a lot of versatile players, I think, and we can in-game change things. The worry, I think, of late, if we're going to be critical, is we've maybe overthought it a little bit too much. Because we've got so many variations, we're probably in game changing things all the time, a little bit, as we've already spoke about in this game. But going back to the point on Kieffer Moore, mate, what a player. He's going to be a real handful for teams. It gives us great options. And I think at the moment, up until the World Cup, the couple of games we've got there, we've got to find a way of just making sure him and Dom are both in that team. Whatever way you do it, you've got to play them both. Kieffer's earned the right now for sure. I think that can... Yeah, so it's a really good thing to do because we can play off Dom and also we can get wide and get some balls in the box as well. So we're enjoying it. I think for the large parts as well, we've got to say that again, I thought Mepham and Senesi were brilliant. Yeah. Mepham, by the way, is a joke at the moment. He stopped Haaland and Kane for large parts. Yeah, let's remember that. He's been absolutely superb. Smithy, as I mentioned as well. I thought Jay-Z come back into the team was really good for large parts as well.
How much of a difference does it make playing a left-footed player on the left flank?
Absolutely. And I think we have said how Fredericks was having some good performances, but he's just tailed off a little bit the last few. So it's really good to take him out of the firing line a little bit, put Jay-Z back in on that left-hand side. I thought he was great. And
I've got to say something.
Go on.
I didn't... It sounds horrible. I didn't miss Christie.
No, not at all. I feel for him because I love the work rate he gives you.
Absolutely.
But I think you already have that in Tavernier. Christie's a good one that you know you can bring on because you know what you're going to get from him. But unfortunately for Christie, he's not getting the numbers. He never looks like he's going to score. He never really looks like he's going to get an assist. I'll say that, he has got a goal, but we all know how scrappy that one was. He's a good player, Ryan Christie, but we can't be relying on him starting every single week. He shouldn't be the first name on the team sheet. And to be fair, I think a few below par performances, and it's nice for us to go, right, we can play without you now, and we're still waiting for your Joe Rothwells to come in as well. Junior, obviously we all know of his fitness, but we know he's got quality. So some really good options now that we can bring in, and this is all without our skipper, remember, who we don't know where he is. So I'm very sceptical on the Lloyd Kelly thing at the moment, from a personal point of view. I don't understand why he's just gone without any real note of it. So luckily, the partnership of Mepham and Senesi's, just getting better and better by the game, really.
All right,
Not positive.
Yeah, do agree. Right, we're going to hear some fans' thoughts now, kicking off with Heather. We've also got Algard, Livy sends hers in, and also Filippo as well. Let's hear what they had to say.
So I thought I'd try and put a more positive spin on the match today. There were some positive points to it. It felt much better than the previous 3 matches, where it just felt like the team weren't together and they were just sort of flailing around, basically. We kept Kane out, we kept Son out, and yes, we lost our lead, but it didn't all go to pieces. I think taking Phil off was a mistake. I mean, I'm going to say that anyway, aren't I? But he sort of feels like the glue. It changed the formation, and that sort of screwed us, basically. But it definitely was a more positive match than the last 3, in spite of the result. And they are a top 6 team, and we didn't get absolutely smashed by them. So there we go. Up the chairs.
It was all hunky-dory, wasn't it? 50 minutes, 2-0 up. And then we changed everything. And Tottenham just ran the last 40 minutes with us doing absolutely nothing about it because we couldn't. So I'm very, very disappointed with that. I thought there was, even at 2-0, I didn't think we was going to, for certain, win it, and I'm happily taking a point. But no, we haven't even got that tonight. So we've got to keep smiling. Yes, we are getting closer to the points tally at the bottom 3, but long way to go.
Hi, it's Livy. At full time on Saturday, absolutely devastated, can't lie, completely heartbroken. It wasn't like we even thought we'd beat Spurs before the game started, but we got our hopes up when we went 2-0 up, and we were on such a high, and to then give that away, it was just really heartbreaking. I thought there were loads of positives to take though from the match. Mepham, man of the match in that first half, and Senesi, they still playing really, really well, and Moore scoring goals. So we played well. So by Sunday, and hearing the fan cams and a bit of positivity, I was feeling much better. So devastated to start with, now a bit more positive. Cheers, up the chairs.
we completely disappeared. We stopped playing and we conceded everything to Tottenham, not only the goals, we conceded everything, lots and lots of corners. And you say one of the corners must go in, but if you defend well all the corners, you still win. And we didn't defend well. On the second goal, Mark Traversant had to go out. And instead he stood on the goal and Ben Davies scored. And on the final goal, Rodrigo Bentancur was free to shoot 2 times. And it's really not possible. Now the worst thing is also the results. Leeds United won at Anfield after 4 consecutive defeats, and now it was a big game before this round of games, but now it's a huge game. It's a massive game at Elland Road next Saturday, and still believe in this team, but we can't stop playing. We can't collapse like that. Up the cherries.
Yeah, some really good views there. Thank you to everyone who submitted there. And Al, keep up the good fight, mate. Really nice to hear your opinions. And we'll be making sure we check out your YouTube channel. Check out Al's channel. Give him a subscribe. Card is at the top of the screen. He would really appreciate it, and so would we, if you clicked through. So yeah, I mean, I think everyone's pretty much summed it up. Frustration, deflation, the elation at the time. But we've got to take the positives. And we move on to a Leeds side now, mate, that turned over Liverpool. And I don't know if that's a good result or not these days. I mean, somehow we faced them and lost 9-0 to them. But that result was almost a fallacy with their season. I mean, they've been absolutely dire, haven't they? And,
yeah.
What a weird team this season. But credit to Leeds.
Oh, of course, and don't get me wrong, it was frustrating to see that result from our perspective, because we're going to be probably scrapping with Leeds more than we are Liverpool. But you always know, regardless of that result, I'd be thinking going to Elland Road, Leeds away is very eerie, ghastly place to go, because in the sense that they get an atmosphere going, and it's really, really difficult to go there and win. I think a lot of teams this season, even some of the bigger boys, would go, get a point at Elland Road's not bad. So, going to be a really tough game, mate. They done well, but as you say, beating Liverpool at the moment, I mean, Forest beat them and then got spanked 5-0 to Arsenal. So it's not always. I thought, and they've got to play completely differently against Liverpool away than they have at home to Bournemouth. They'll try and take the game to us a little bit more. So maybe suit us on the counter attack. I have felt that watched Leeds a few times lately, and I do feel they play some good stuff and they're quite front foot. But they've definitely, you can get them at the break. I don't think they're the most defensively sound. I think their goalkeeper keeps them in a lot of games. I think Kieffer, Moore, Dom Solanke, I think we could have them on the break. So it's going to be a good one. But this one, I've got a feeling this one could have some goals.
It could be. Looking back over my shoulder. And that's what we're doing seemingly now when we're looking at the league table. I mean,
I love the goal difference, by the way.
Sliding on down there, mate. I mean,
hey, listen, I was still telling you now, I would have, after that Liverpool game, the 9-0, we've got 2 league games till the World Cup. Would you take 14th? Yeah. I would have. Yeah. I would have. I know it's horrible because we had that good little run. Yeah. Now we're tailing off a little bit, but we obviously all jokingly were kind of saying about how well we're doing and Gary Neal's invincible, but we always knew we were going to be in there at some point, I think.
And let's face it, 5 of those 13 matches have been against top 6 sides. Yeah. That includes Newcastle.
Yeah, of course. And then
that's all right.
Yeah, we're kind of where we expect to be, and I think there's probably, I would say, the fact Leicester are so low down as a surprise, but then I probably would have predicted that Fulham would have been. So they've kind of just switched what I thought. Fulham going really well. Yeah, they are. But we're where I think we should be. And listen, if you take out the context of the game that we were 2-0 up, I don't think anyone expected anything against Tottenham. If we can somehow go to Elland Road, get a point, and then beat Everton at home, we'll be well happy going into the World Cup. If we can get 4, a lot of Bournemouth fans would take 3. Some Bournemouth fans may even take 2. But if we can go into that Leeds game, pick something up, last home game before the World Cup, we've got a point at Leeds. Go in there, beat Everton. I think we'll be in a really good place, mate. Going into some changes after the World Cup, I would have thought. Two massive football matches, 2 massive games. If you go and lose both of them, then we're going to be waiting for that season to start again, that second half of the season really. And it's Chelsea, It's United. I think we've got Palace in there. But we start going back to that. I think at one point, it might be January, February, we play City, Liverpool, Arsenal back to back again. So
wonderful. Can't wait for that.
Yeah, so some key games, mate. But I'm going into that Leeds game, despite them beating Liverpool and us throwing away a 2-goal lead. I think there's going to be chances to be had there, and it could be a special away day.
I hope so. Tom said it. Look, thank you for your time this evening. Really appreciate it. Make sure you stay tuned to the channel because the Premier League show will be dropping. Also, what else have we got? Of course, check out our shorts as well because we'll give you the mini match day vlogs and much more besides. And we'll be gearing up to Leeds towards the end of the week for an away day, which hopefully, as Tom said, could provide us with a nice, cheeky little surprise.
It's going to be a tough one, mate. It's going to be a tough one. Bit of a track.
I've been disappointed by the lack of Halloween puns.
I completely forgot.
Yeah, don't worry.
No, can't be asked.
Okay, that's fine. We'll see you on the next one. Up the cherries.
Up the cherries. We're all late, Leeds.